Hello everybody, Ivan Oberon here, coming to you today with some tips and tricks on how to effectively network your way to a higher net worth. And I think that's something we all would want, isn't it? You know, the greater your connections, the greater your opportunities will be to get out there and do something great. It has been said that your net worth will become equally proportionate to your net work. So why is it that more of us don't spend the time to go out there and intentionally grow our business and professional networks? Even when we might intellectually understand its massive wealth building potentials that it represents. What excuses do we give to ourselves and others, or reasons, right, of remaining within our comfort zone? You know, the best definition that I've ever heard of the comfort zone is this: the comfort zone can be defined as the ambassador for the stagnation of bondage. Let that sink in for a minute. It's pretty powerful. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be held captive and in bondage by all these things that might keep me within a comfort zone. The reality is that if all your dreams and aspirations and goals and desires could be found within your comfort zone, you'd already have them. But that simply isn't the case, now is it? You know, today I'm considered to be a pretty effective networker and a power connector by those that know me. I've even written some articles on several magazines on the subject. But I can tell you for sure that it wasn't always that way. Before I started my career in real estate investing and coaching and personal development, I was in the insurance business. And I really possessed that employee mentality for a lot of the time. I went in at a certain time. I had to stay till a certain time. I was really dependent on somebody else for my paycheck. And because the majority of my business came from word of mouth and referrals, I really wasn't all that motivated to dedicate and invest my extracurricular time to seeking out networking opportunities. Maybe you can relate with that. So what changed for me? I got to a point of what I like to call constructive discontent, where I realized that not only did I want more, I really needed a change. And I understood that in order for things to change in my life, I needed to start to change some things in my life. So I began feeding my mind the proper mental proteins. I started developing different success habits and really committed myself to continual and never-ending improvement. And along that journey, I realized that I needed to become a better networker. I had to develop the skill of networking. And you know, the good news about that is that, like all business skills, it can be learned through practice and repetition. So let's get into it. I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks that I learned along the way, and I'm hopeful and really very confident that if you apply these, they will help you become a more successful and more effective networker. So here's the first tip. Learn to add value to other people first. Don't go to networking events with the sole intention of, what am I going to get out of this? Sure, you have to go purposefully, right? You have to know what your outcome is going to be, know what kind of prospects you're going to be there, and potentially who you want to talk to help get you to that next step, right? But I would suggest that you use that information to see how you can make yourself valuable to them. And remember that a leader touches a heart first before he asks for a hand. Zig Ziglar said that you can have anything in your life that you want as long as you first help other people get what they want. And remember this, everybody's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? So remember that and use it to your advantage when you go to networking events anywhere you go. Okay, so the next tip. Risk being bad at first so that you can be great later. Brian Tracy says that anything worth doing is worth doing poorly at first. Isn't that great? And here's the reality. Why is that? Because there's no such thing as a natural born speaker. There's no such thing as a natural born leader. There's no such thing as a natural born networker. You have to develop those skills through practice and persistence. And we know that the mother of skill is practice. So get out there and do it. Now, I can tell you without any shame that I was not a good networker when I first started. I was completely uncomfortable. I didn't know what I would say to all these strangers, what part of the room I should sit in, how I should dress, what they would expect from me. But you know what? I went out there and did it anyway. And do you know why? Because anything worth doing is worth doing poorly at first. And I can tell you right now that the efforts have paid off. So I would encourage you to do the same. The next tip I'll give you is the divide and conquer strategy. Most of you, or many of you, work with business partners. And you go to conferences and events and expos together. Or maybe you go with a business associate or a fellow coworker. And the mistake that a lot of people do or make in that situation is they stick together, right? They use themselves as a buffer for that discomfort. But the problem with that is that you can't be nearly as effective by sticking together as opposed to splitting up. So here's what I would suggest you do. You split up and you divide and conquer. And here's another wonderful thing you can employ. You can employ the sales technique of the warm transfer. So let's just say you're out there networking with somebody and you realize through your conversation that maybe your personality and or your partner's life experiences will be a better match for this particular prospect. And thus they would be able to develop a greater rapport. So what you do is you bring them over and you make a warm transfer and a nice introduction. And once that connection is made between the two, now you excuse yourself and you go after that next prospect. So you can be 3 times as effective by employing the divide and conquer technique. It's very powerful at expos and events or really any networking opportunity that you go to. So step out of your comfort zone and use it to your advantage. The last thing that I'll leave you with is more of an invocation than a tip, really. And it's simply this. You have the time, so long as you use it. It's taken me years to grow my network to the level that it's at today. But I can tell you that the effort has been well worth it, and I would do it all over again. And you might be thinking to yourself or looking at me like, years? And I don't have years to develop myself and get myself to that next level. And what I would say to that is, why not? What else are you doing with your time that is more valuable than putting all the pieces in place in your network that will help you get to that next level? And not only get there, but get there at an exponential rate. I would suggest that you make becoming a more effective networker a goal. And just like any other goal, work on it consistently and take steps little by little. And before you know it, you'll be on your way to being a networking superstar. And I promise you this, your results and your income will reflect those efforts. So get out there and take that first step. Thanks for sticking with me till the end. If you like this video, please click like and share so I can add some value to your friends and your networks. And make sure you connect with me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And remember, hold your vision for what it is that you want to create in your life. I look forward to connecting with you, and until the next video, take care.